What is up, everybody? Today is the first official episode of Dancers Unlocked. First off, let's start off by saying Happy New Year. Hope everyone's kind of starting off and getting going on the right path. Well, let's go ahead. You already know by the title who's here. We got Travon in the building.
Yee.
So we're going to just get right into it. Again, the purpose of the show is to really find out about dancers and to find out kind of their past, where they started and where they are now, and possibly where they plan on going. Travon was somebody that I wanted to interview, and a lot of you had already posted about it. And one of the things I wanted to find out about you was how you started dancing, and how did you know when you started dancing that you wanted to pursue it?
Okay, so I feel like we kind of had a similar story. I was in basketball my whole life, and freshman year, I joined like a basketball class, and they wanted to do like layups on the side while the varsity kind of practiced. So it was kind of like varsity's pre-practice before after-school practice, and I was just like,
Travon out here hooping.
A little bit. And I was like, I don't want to do basic drills that I'm gonna do right after school on the freshman team anyway. So it was kind of like a waste of time. So I was like, let me find something that I can do last period, and they had dance. And I was same kind of feeling like, oh, I'm just gonna do dance, like on the low kind of thing. And I literally fell in love with it. And from then, I was just like, kind of like a High School Musical thing. Like I want to be Troy Bolton and play basketball, but then rush to the dance show and do that kind of thing. But by my junior year, I was like, I want to dance. And I went up to the coach and I was like, I need to pick one. I don't feel committed to doing both. So I just chose dance.
That's crazy. So like we were talking prior to when we started recording, and I too started off in basketball and stuff like that. So that's why when he says similar stories, we didn't give you that exclusive. You didn't hear about the topics that we talked about. One of the things that I know for me, there's opportunities that I look back now, like auditions or something like that, that I passed up on. What is something that you would say that you passed up on, and now looking back, you're kind of like, damn, I wish I would at least put an effort in auditioning, if there is any?
Yeah, so I didn't go to college, but there was a dance school in Seattle that I wanted to go to for a while. Me too, especially the rain.
Oh my God.
I don't remember too much about it now. Shows clearly why I didn't go. But at the time, my dance teacher was very passionate about me pursuing that route. And when it was time to get to it and go and audition, I just never did. And then it came around and they had virtual auditions, and I was on board with it. And then I was just scared because it was very ballet based, and I didn't have all of that kind of training. I could have maybe passed by, who knows now, but that was definitely something that
Looking back, you wish it would have
I'm
been.
like, oh, that would have been cool.
Seattle, man. Yeah. Side note, no relation to the channel at all, but I actually worked in prescription, like as a pharmacy tech, and Seattle is the highest state for medication for, what's the word I'm looking for? Depression, because of the rain. Yeah. But when I go, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, it's all happiness there.
Obviously, rolling into the new year, we are seeing, COVID and everything. How has that impacted from the start of, 2020, what was it, like around March, to now into the new year? Kind of, how has that impacted you and things that you've been able to do?
Oddly enough, COVID has kind of like pushed me into a higher state of creating. I never was creating at the pace I'm creating at now.
Kind of like an uncomfortable comfortable.
Yeah, and in the beginning of March, I was planning like a move to New York, not necessarily on the jump, but it was like my next route of where I wanted to go. And I remember in February, we had just did the Genzai showcase. So everything was pretty cool. Like I was in a couple pieces, I did a piece, everything was fine. I felt like, obviously we all felt like we were just kind of like taking off. 2020 was that year for a second. And COVID, so it kind of slowed down for a second, and virtual classes never struck with me. I don't know, like
they're tough.
I don't know, I just don't have the discipline yet to take classes like that, but.
Would you say like on a difficulty as a student and a teacher?
Yeah, because I only taught 2, and that was hard. I felt like I wasn't.
You missed that energy.
Yeah, that, and I wasn't like connecting with anybody. I feel like even now, like I'm looking at you, trying to look at you, but looking at the camera, so I'm like all over the place, even though it was just that little tiny screen. And I also didn't have an HDMI to connect to my TV, so it was just this tiny little thing. So kind of gave up on that, so I was like, let me just start creating with my friends and stuff, and yeah, that's what I've been doing so far. I feel like going into 2021, hopefully it kind of clears up, but if not, I feel like I'm just gonna do like what I've been doing.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know, or many of you guys do know, Travon actually made a jump to Cali and lived there. For a lot of people, even myself, always thought that was the only way to make it in dance. And now coming up, I myself don't feel like that's the only way to be successful. You're not moving, you have moved. What is your insight on that? How was that move for you? And what was your thought process when you said, I'm gonna move to Cali? What was your reasoning?
So I was at dinner with a couple people from Mercury & Sons, and this girl named Am, she was like, okay, let's move to California. It was February and we were gonna move in September, like 5 of us. And she was like, okay, everyone just start saving money. So out of 5 of us, 2 of us ended up moving before September. And by the time September came around, I only had 1,000 in my checkings and 1,000 in my savings. So I literally was just going out there. And I feel like that's the part of like being passionate about it. Like I was like, I don't even have money for this. Like my mom wants me to stay, like my family, etc. But I gotta go.
Right.
So I was so in my prime of what I felt like of my dancing. So moved out there with my friend Jesse, and literally was in my car for 2 days. Got an Airbnb, slept in my car for another couple days before we moved in with his cousin. And his cousin was out of town. She never left a spare key, so she didn't even know we were coming. So she, like, we planned September 8th, and then September 8th came and we just went. And honestly, I feel like everyone's down until it's time to be down. Because again, like we moved and just the money situation wasn't right, even though we figured it out. Like you could always be more prepared.
Right.
But I'm also like, I didn't know we paid for bags, grocery bags, like at the store, 10 cents a bag every time you go anywhere. So it's just like the little things that you have to like take into accountability when you're like moving there. And then just the overall grind, like applying for jobs, working construction. I'd never in my life
Travon out there with boots on.
With steel toe boots and like slinging concrete around. Just like, I never thought I would be doing that. And again, it was all for dance, but in the end, you just gotta like push through. And moving out there, I never even made friends. Like my brother ended up getting booked, thankfully, so that was great. But then it was just me. So it was just me working a dead-end job that I applied for after like the construction and stuff like that. I had applied for so many jobs. Ended up working at El Pollo Loco as a vegetarian, chopping chicken, like the bones and stuff. Like it was just a whole mess. But again, it was just for the sacrifice of like, I'm here in California, I'm literally just turned 19 years old and I've never been away from home, like experiencing all of these random things. And it was just crazy.
Well, news to me, Travon's actually only 22.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wanted you to know that, but I just told you. If we need to edit it out, we will. But just off of that, I mean, myself, I'm 27, and just like, I have never even thought to move out to Cali, and you've literally made that jump at 19, only to find out that you really don't need to make that jump.
At all.
There's so many opportunities, I feel like in Cali, or there is in Cali, but there's so many opportunities in Arizona or in any state that we're in. We just have to kind of find them, or like Travon, create them. Like he's created so many opportunities. One of the biggest ones that I want to touch on is free dance day. To me, that's very impactful because if you don't have a 9 to 5 and you're a dancer on the grind, a $10 bill for a class is like either class or your next meal. And sometimes that decision is tough because you really want to eat or you really want the $10. So free dance day, I mean, he's booking these really great choreographers. What was the thought process on creating that?
So I actually got the idea in California because, you know, Californian classes are 15. So that's even more of like a challenge. Not only is it 15 and the gas to get there, and like you said, to eat, like nobody wants to cook
like
at
$4
12 o'clock.
a gallon.
Like $5 a gallon just to get to class.
I'll take the bus.
And then you get a ticket or your tire pops, in my case, every other week in California. So they have a free dance day, and I think it's like once a year, and it was at Debbie Reynolds before it closed. And it was only a few classes, which is cool. I mean, their teachers are way different there. But coming back here in November of last year, of 2019, when I got back, I also was in that same situation of credit card maxed, like already had used my $1,000 long time ago. And yeah, coming back, I was like, okay, I need to get a job again, all of that. And I was like, what can I do? Like, not only for myself, but for other people, because I know I'm not the only one that goes through that. Like you said, $10. And you want to take, 3 people are teaching that night, and you don't want to just take one, you want to take them all. Now you're paying 30. So it's like, okay. So that same feeling I wanted to like translate into others, and the choreographers, I guess it's just a matter of people just willing to give their time. And I feel like everybody is willing to for a cause like that. Because they're like, dang, we also get to take class for free from 4 other people. And it's all our friends coming together. And in the midst of a pandemic, the fact that we were even able to do a second one. The first one was right before COVID, so we didn't really know that this was all gonna happen. So the fact that we got to do it again was great. And just even having, I guess, space to dance at this time. Yeah,
and just being able to kind of, I mean, giving thanks to the studios that are able to, because I know the studios are also working with you as far as
they helped with the first one.
Yeah, so I mean that itself is really dope. One of the topics I really wanted to touch on, it is not necessarily a touchy topic, but I wanted to bring it up with you because Black Lives Matter. That topic right now is rough and touchy in a sense of a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. As a dancer, I know I was able to partake in, a workshop that you put on for Black Lives Matter. What would you tell a dancer like myself that can't say, well, I'm Black, this is what I stand for, but is not and is too afraid because they are afraid to get canceled or afraid to say the wrong thing? What could they do or impact in the dance community? What could they do more of?
Canceled, wow, that word that's heavy right now. One thing for sure that I learned during that process of like the workshop is I didn't realize the voice I had until I literally did that. And not even the fact of like people are listening to me or like followers or anything like that, but more so like literally had an idea and it just popped. I don't know if it was the right time or if people were just engaged on Instagram, but once I kind of got that little kick, or however you would say it, feedback, I was like, okay, like people are listening to what I'm saying. So I guess what I learned also during that is not to literally be afraid to speak up. Like you just have to speak up and stick your ground. There is always going to be people that are just going to try to make a mix of things and maybe stir up the mess, but if you just stand still, I feel like stand on your ground, then you're fine. And just remember that people are going to always go against you. I think that was one thing.
I think that's the biggest thing is, like you said, the word canceled is heavily thrown around right now. So I feel like everyone feels like they're walking on eggshells, but the fact of the matter is it's a huge topic that we're living right now. They say history repeats itself, but I really don't think we've ever stemmed away from racism. It's just been brought into the light for specific matters that this channel's not about, but I'm sure you guys know. So as a dancer, for you to put on a workshop for that specific purpose, the funds and proceeds were to go to that, but to just tell everyone, no matter what race you are, if you stand behind the movement, just stand your ground, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Is just put your foot forward. What other opportunities or what other things you have coming for in that realm, or what things do you think other people could do for that matter?
Definitely just taking action. I feel like even me thinking about it before we just even brought it up right now, the other day I was thinking about ways that I could do more, because the workshop was great and I feel like I raised money, but again, money is paper, and just paper is the same textbooks we read, you know what I mean? It's just a different value. So I feel like actually putting in action and just thinking of new ways. I feel like also, like you said, walking on eggshells, not just saying things, but like actually being educated and then moving forward with the education versus just, I saw a link and I'm reading it, or I'm posting it on my story. And just, again, stories are great, but stories aren't enough. And stories can be misleading, and just, etc. Another thing I was even thinking of doing is like creating some type of like, not business, but like something local. I think I've been thinking about such a big picture that I haven't been thinking about just my own community, which I have, but not in the way that I feel like I want to. Just like thinking about our neighbors before thinking about people across the country. Not to say we can't do that. Don't interpret that in the wrong way. But
canceled.
But you get what I'm saying. Just like kind of what can I do for my brothers and sisters right here, right now versus sharing.
Yeah, I think that's dope because the whole purpose of this channel is obviously right now it's to raise up Arizona's dance community. I feel like we have such a strong community and such powerful dancers, teachers, and stuff like that have a voice, that have stories to tell. Those to me are my neighbors, as opposed to eventually, maybe getting out and all of us dancers who look up to these dancers that are on tour, things like that. Those are those people that are across the country. But the show itself right now is for Arizona dancers. I feel like dancers that are coming up right now, I know myself coming up, I looked up to a lot of dancers that I'm excited to have on the show coming up. Other dancers I'm sure are gonna wanna hear from other people and hear their stories. That being said, I know we touched on it before the show. What was your passion when joining dance, and what has changed to right now? What did you say when I dance, I want to be this, and now that you're 22, has it changed or is it the same?
So even with California, I guess I'll tie like kind of two things in. The stigma around California is crazy. I feel like when I moved back, the hype around me being in LA was something. And then the way I explained it to people, I was like, I didn't do anything. Like, I just took classes, ate food, and paid bills. Like, I wasn't there, like, booking gigs and going on tour and just doing all these things. But I feel like, again, Arizona has a stigma that California is just all the way up here. But it's just where they book jobs versus, like, the talent being all the way up here. That's one thing I just wanted to say that I forgot earlier. Another thing, just tying it in, another route I wanted to take at first was like touring and doing that kind of stuff. And not to say I don't want to do that now. Like, who doesn't want to tour with their favorite artists?
$1,000 be a lot more than $1,000.
Say it again. But as the years have gone by, I've definitely changed my route. And when I was there, I didn't book any dancing jobs. And I had to like sit and think like, why am I not booking jobs? Like, why am I getting to the end of these auditions, multiple auditions, and then not booking the job? So I was like going through a phase of like, do I even want to dance? Like, going through that phase everybody goes through. But I also was never saying like out loud or manifesting like, oh, I want to be a dancer. It's always I wanted to be a creative director or choreographer. But it wasn't until I moved back that I realized that I was doing and speaking two different things. Not to say you can't do that, but just in a sense of spiritual realm, like I wanted to put it in
your
one.
Own personal, yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. So now that I've been back, I've been just creating, not to say I haven't been dancing, and it's just been putting me in a lot better positions to make better moves versus just endless auditions and just feeling like I'm just running around like a chicken.
I reached out to Travon on this because I was actually guilty of it. For dancers that work a 9 to 5 and try to find pockets of sleep and pockets of creativity. He touched on it. And I was like, Travon, don't be talking about this. We're talking about it on the show. How I want you to really just speak kind of what you spoke to on your story on Instagram was that basically, he puts those couple of hours that are going to affect maybe his, work, but he's first a dancer. So he'll lose a couple of hours of sleep if it's at 12 a.m. if someone says, let's go to the studio and create. To where I was in that realm, I had that mindset too, where I was like, I can't just go to a class at 10 because I have to work tomorrow morning. Go ahead, speak to that, like how you mentioned it. Like, just speak what you mentioned.
So like running off of that, I feel like just the other day example, it was 7 a.m. and the studio opens at like 3 a.m. And I don't even think it closed actually, but they just say it opens at 3 a.m. random time. But I just get up and I need to dance. Whether it's I'm going to the studio or I'm going in my backyard, majority I'm going to the studio because I like the mirrors. But it's just the will to dance. Literally, that's all I want to do. Like, I work 9 to 5s, but I've worked 5 this year in 2020 alone. Because
5 jobs?
I will literally not, I don't get like the greatest jobs because I know I don't want to commit to something too heavy, but I also will not work under bad management or anything like that because I also am a good worker. So if I'm going to work at like an El Pollo Loco, I'm about to be the
You said 5 jobs.
El Pollo Loco. But again, it's bad management for me and things like that. But other than that, it's the will to dance before that. So it's like, I'll take class from 7 to 9 p.m. and then I'll be like, okay, I just need to go dance longer, or I need to go train more, or I'm inspired now, so I need to like go to the studio. And it's just the times where I guess I think about someone's always outworking you kind of thing from like basketball mentality when I was younger, and I want to be in the NBA, you know. So
I see Travon out here hooping.
It's just that mentality. Like, are you going to really work and fight for it? Are you going to lose a couple hours of sleep? A lot of people, like you said, will say it's 10 p.m. and it's late. But I'm like, it's not late when you're on that date or you're doing whatever you want to do outside of your career and passion. And not to say those things are not important, but again, there's an equal balance that you could be fighting for. And I feel like I also am in a place where I don't have relationships and things like that, where I'm just like dance. So it comes from a different place, but also it's not something that you can't pick and pull from as well and balance, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of led into another topic that I feel like is tough in the dance scene. It's like, how would you, let's get the tea. Is Travon seeing anybody right now?
No.
No? Let's say, you know, somebody is. How would you speak to balance of that? You know, some people say, oh, well, I'm in a relationship now, I can't do this performance. Or I have other people that are like, oh, you know, they'll be cool with it. How do you feel like the balance of being in a relationship as a dancer should impact both? Are they weighed equally, or at that point do you kind of put your own selfish needs to to your significant other, or how would you say like you would manage?
I feel like you have to decipher what you want out of dance. Like what we were saying earlier, if you want to just take it as a hobby, it should always be going hard at it. You should always want to be the best you can be at it. But it might just be a hobby. So I feel like it's not as important if you make those classes weekly versus if you say you want to be on tour and you sign up for these classes and you cancel last minute to go on a date with your boyfriend that just popped up or girlfriend that weekend, then you don't want it nearly as bad as you did on that Monday versus the Friday. And not to say things can't change and like important things don't pop up, but again, like I always think about this corny joke, like Michael Jordan would not do that. He would have went to the court and would have played basketball. And again, it translates later in life. Like, you can have your cake and eat it too, but I feel like, again, there's a time and a place where you just have to put your foot down to grind, or you just want to take the night off or whatever. But I don't take nights off. Yeah. Until I'm there, I feel like I can't take nights off. But that's just my mentality.
Yeah, no, I agree. One of the things too, I think is if you could tell, I mean, he's only 22, but if you could tell younger you that just got a taste of dance and had that mindset, what would you now tell a younger you today, or just somebody who's watching that is younger that is now just kind of getting into the dance scene? What would you tell them kind of in words to what should they expect as they move forward?
One thing's for sure is decipher again what you want to do. I feel like it's kind of like even translating into college. Like when you're a junior, you kind of need to know like where you want to go. Right. Like you can't just float around. You can, but it's better just to have a plan for most people. With dance as well, like it's serious, but it's never that serious to where it's like life or death. But again, that life or death mentality is only going to take you so much farther versus just, I'm taking because my mom put me in a studio. I love it, but I'm still just taking because my parents pay for it versus like the people who don't get to be in a studio who are like dying to get into a studio would love to switch with you because they're more passionate. Again, you can't teach the passion, but you can teach people moves. So I feel like if you're very passionate about it, you're going to do whatever you need to do to feel that again versus just recital every 2 years.
No, that's good. Going in now to 2021, what are some things that Travon has possibly cooking? You know, it's January 1st, so there's a full year of opportunity. What stuff do you have cooking already in the works or kind of in your head so people can kind of look out for it?
So I started concept videos, 3 of them. Those I'm going to release in January and February. Also, Free Dance Day is coming back in February, so that'll be exciting. We want Rubix to teach. They just didn't tell him yet, but now he knows. So definitely that. I feel like, again, creating opportunity. That's something that I've enjoyed doing recently, and that I wish when I was younger I had a little bit more opportunity to grab, but also I was a little scared back in the day. That's one thing I want to jump back on to 2 sentences ago we were talking about is don't be scared. Like, it's always going to be scary. There's always going to be another camera, a better dancer, a better something. But I always tell people, look in the mirror and just realize we're all looking in the mirror thinking the same thing. So I've been saying that in class, like we're all thinking like, oh my God, like is Rubix like thinking about what I'm about? Like no, because Rubix is thinking about what I just thought about but somebody else. Because we're all looking in the mirror. It's hard to look in a mirror and not start picking yourself, etc. And I always think mirror moments, like if I'm telling somebody to do something, then I need to be looking in the mirror and like reflecting that. Even if I'm like choreographing, I'm like, you need to have a right angle. And then I go and I do this. It doesn't like translate well. I need to like make sure that I'm doing the same thing. Just being disciplined as well. 2021, I feel like it's just gonna bring a lot of creativity out of me. I want to dance a lot more, but I definitely want to like choreograph and create.
Nice. One of the things too that he touched on that I had to also find myself was that you put so much weight on yourself and so much like if you're that passionate about it, you almost put so much weight on it that it could affect you personally or maybe personal relationships. Like myself, I let that kind of get in the way of my own pride because I went to an audition where I had so much weight on myself that I needed to be something. I needed to be something great that I let it impact a relationship of mine at that point. And I look back now like that was silly. You should be supporting of each other and not be so, oh, well, they're doing this. I'm not cool with that. Like, you know, I could have did that. You know, it's got to be in a sense of carrying that weight of you want it bad enough, but just because somebody else gets it, that should only push you and in a positive manner as opposed to a negative manner.
Facts.
So that was one thing that I had to learn. And looking back, I was like, ew, you're disgusting for even feeling that way. But you heard it. He's got a bunch of stuff coming up. We're going to have his Instagram in the beginning of the video. So you'll see his Instagram. Go if you're not following him already, which I'm sure you are, look out for his stuff that he has coming. Like he says, he has 3 concept videos. He has Free Dance Day in February that I'll possibly be at. He didn't tell me until right now.
He'll be at
but
it.
we're gonna make it happen. Just any last words for, you know, anything that you got on your mind right now?
I'd say if you're going to dance and you want to pursue it as a professional career, you need to be doing 3 times the amount of what you're doing now. This is also me looking in the mirror to the side right here, telling myself, but it's serious. And if you want it, it's not as far as you think, and you can create opportunities for yourself, but again, it takes hard work, and it's just not something you just wake up and TikTok and you're viral. That's a whole different realm for a whole different day. But
Part
again,
2 coming.
Just
Travon,
know that it
the
takes
juice.
work.
No, perfect. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day and being here. Dance is just that. Like, I would have never, you know, even thought I would run into Travon, let him know, have this type of relationship where he's willing to come on, share his story with everybody, even myself. Travon was somebody that a lot of you guys tagged, but somebody I already had on my list. This is new for the both of us. Like this whole interviewing, this is new for me. So hopefully Travon doesn't go and like tell everybody, yo, don't do the show, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Because he's weird.
So thank you guys again for watching the channel, the show. The episode was even more than I could have even imagined. Travon is probably going to be back later on, either this season or season 2, because I feel like he's already going to have, just from what he's told us, has so much more going on in 2021 that we are going to need to know and possibly haven't even scrape the edges of knowing him personally. So again, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and then go tell somebody to like, comment, subscribe, because I want to get these dancers' stories and everything out to other dancers. So thanks again for watching. Peace.